Being Your Best You with Dr. Kier.
I'm exceptional, thank you. How are you today?
I'm so good.
Blocks to bold, brass to gold, better to best. We all get caught in mental mazes, believing that we have to live the way others see us, or being taught to think things through. Dr. Kier is an agent of change using Geotran human programming and activations to quickly and easily release people from the automatic patterns and inner glitches that block their healthy, wealthy, happy life. Instead of going where our innate circuitry takes us. Being in alignment with you is the best way to create your best life. Are you ready to be your best self? Being Your Best You with Dr. Kier. Welcome to the show.
Hello, this is Dr. Kier yet again. And we are just going to have a great time talking about accepting, allowing, and receiving. And what's key to that is alignment. Now, we just had a great conversation yesterday with some of our fabulous producer, Angie B's friends and colleagues. And that was actually the key point is, are you in alignment with you, with your divine blueprint, with what God has for you, however you're thinking about God? I don't care. God, spirit, the universe, whatever. Yeah. Are you working with the grain rather than against the grain? That is absolutely key to creating your fabulous life, whatever that looks like for you. You know, money, family, spouse, great relationships, feeling fit, feeling full of vitality. It's all about alignment. So I'm so happy that my colleague, Dr. Kevin, is here. And we are going to discuss this from our differing perspectives. Now, I always look from a Geotran perspective, and Dr. Kevin always looks from a hypnotherapy perspective. So here's Dr. Kevin. I'm Dr. Kier. We are a paradox. So what have you got to say about alignment, Dr. Kevin?
Oh, when you're in alignment, everything is going well. You're soaring. You're just moving right ahead.
Yeah.
And if you're out of alignment in some capacity, that's when you start having glitches. That's kind of like the centipede that forgot how to walk. So, yeah, and they just end up on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. So being in alignment is really important for our health, for our happiness. Mm-hmm. So I think it's an important topic.
So here's what I notice, at least with the people that I work with, and of course in my own life too, and my colleagues. Yeah. Is that, we're always asking for things, Mm-hmm. So, and depending on context, we're asking God for things. We're asking our guiding spirits for things. We're asking mm-hmm. our inner self, our higher self for things. And by things, I don't necessarily mean physical things, although that comes into it because we're here to live a physical life. Yeah. But we ask for peace of mind. We ask for inspiration. We ask for revelation. We ask for love and appreciation. And we ask for money. We ask for financial resources to support whatever it is we're here to do. We ask for clarity.
Yes.
About what we're here to do. And the thing that I notice is that actually people find it quite challenging to ask, because we're very much taught in our culture that you have to do it all yourself. Mm-hmm. So we have to get to that. What my teacher used to say, when you get to the end of you, That's when God kicks in. Yeah. So when we get to the
Mhm.
end of what we're able to do, which is actually pretty limited, that's when we say, okay, I don't know how to do this. I need some help. And hopefully we're asking the right energies for that. Um, but then the reason I started with aligning, accepting, allowing, receiving is how capable are we of lining up with the energy, the resonance, the vibration, the frequency of what it is that we're asking for.
Mhm.
And then to what extent are we accepting and allowing and receiving that?
Correct.
It's like we've got to not only be in alignment, we have to most of us keep whatever it is in the future.
Mhm.
We're actually saying with our words and we're saying with our actions, sooner someday. Yeah, sooner someday never arrives. It's now. I mean, if it's gonna happen at any time, it can happen now. So let's have it happen now.
Right.
Especially around money. It's like, oh, come on. It's
Let's
happening
just
now.
get it now.
Let's do it now. Not next week. No. And part of that, just thinking about money specifically, because that's one of the things I work on a lot with people,
Mhm.
is we have this tendency to say with the next client, or look at it in terms of, okay, I know that I want this amount coming in, and that means this number of clients, and how am I going to create or attract this number of clients
Mhm.
in this time frame? And that's okay. We live in the physical, that's totally fine. But how much better and easier is it to be saying, okay, God, assuming I know nothing, which is pretty true most of the time, assuming I know nothing, and nothing exists, like I'm not restricted
Mhm.
by my past experience in this area, by my beliefs, by other people's beliefs. Assuming I know nothing and nothing exists, what do you want me to know, be, do, have, allow, receive right now? It's like, oh, wait a minute. If I don't feel like I have to run the show, if there's this bigger, brighter, more excellent, more glorified intelligence that is attempting to run a small part of the show through me, what if I go directly to source? What if I just focused on being the best, highest, most excellent person that I know how to be?
Mhm.
And believe me, if I don't know how to do it, then I'll receive some experiences that will help kick me up a level. Then what am I able to align with? What am I able to accept, allow, and receive?
Mhm.
Now, the reason I thought this would be such an interesting thing for us to discuss is because we are both constantly working in the subconscious, right?
Mhm.
And that's 90% of what's going on, maybe 95,
Yeah.
right? So instead of consciously saying, okay, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, how can we get our subconscious and our conscious patterns to work together? That's what alignment means. At least,
Yes,
at least in my
it
opinion.
does.
That's what it means. So how can we do that? That again opens up like a whole new level of, well, what works for me and what do I want to retain? What does not work for me? What can I let go of? So,
Mhm.
so when I do my master classes, and I know you have this experience too, when I do my master classes in bringing up your money thermostat, we're always asking those questions. What works for you? So we'll amplify that. What does not work for you? And we're going to delete it or dissolve it or release it or in some way recognize that it's not you now.
Yeah.
It's not in alignment. It's taking you out of alignment.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
will bet my last pearl necklace that you have ways of doing that with your tools, because I certainly know I have ways of doing that with my tools.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting thought is in hypnotherapy, like you mentioned, the subconscious, it's the key player.
Yes.
It's what we work with.
Mhm.
And in hypnotherapy, obviously we're using hypnosis as the modality to get to the subconscious
Mhm.
and to bypass the conscious brain,
Mhm.
because the conscious brain is the critical brain.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Not
not good
not
enough.
us, but others, Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Was that convincing there? I don't think so. Um,
You were saying, I apologize.
not a problem. It was a good diversion. So, using hypnotherapy, we're able to bring into alignment the subconscious and the conscious. And we're using visualization, imagination, picturing,
Mhm.
using a variety of techniques in order to achieve that. And you are so correct. When you are in alignment with yourself, you're in a groove.
Yeah.
Life is good.
Mhm.
Life is good. Um, and it doesn't necessarily mean if you have some bad things start happening to you that you're out of alignment. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It just means sometimes the world just has bad things happen.
But here's where it does connect with alignment,
Uh
right?
huh. Right.
Is that in your response?
Uh huh.
It is just so easy for us as human beings to um, get pulled immediately out of the now
Uh huh.
into the past where, okay, I've experienced something like this before, it didn't end well, into the future of, oh, I've experienced something like this before and it didn't end well, so this is not going to end well. And also, that's where we are listening to the lower personality. And the lower personality is always the one who is saying, you're not enough, you're inadequate to this task, you don't know how to do this, you don't, you know, you don't know enough, you can't do enough. It's all that not enough stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the fact is, and I'm particularly, I think our lovely producer Angie B is going to get this point, is it even says in scripture, we consciously, all of us, consciously fall short of the glory of God. Now, what does this mean? The glory of God is intelligence, and intelligence is truth and light. And above every truth, there's a higher truth, and above every light, there's a higher light. So that means above every, there's this
Mm-hmm.
constant these layers that we grow into, that we evolve into.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So if we are giving a reaction rather than a response, and it's not coming from the higher parts of us, then we can use this thing that's not going the way we anticipated.
Right.
And we can say, okay, what's this showing me? Because I guarantee there's a higher level. Yeah, exactly. Romans 3:23. Thank you so much. And this is what it means in my world. Okay, when we talk about sin in my world, we're saying you're off the mark. Your point up pyramid, your human self, and your point down pyramid, your God self, your divine self, have got out of alignment. Alignment, people. This is about alignment. And very often, even with like well-meaning, intelligent, thoughtful, um, good-hearted people,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like you and me and others, um, we get out of alignment just as easily as anybody else, and there's often a very specific reason for that. Okay, so I'm going to go into my theology for a minute here, which I hope everybody will resonate with. My teacher always said, look, we are designed to give, help, serve, teach, and allow. Right? That's what we're here for.
Mhm.
However, if we are giving, helping, serving, teaching, allowing incorrectly, that is using the wrong methods, or incorrectly in terms of the people, yeah, so if we're doing the incorrect thing with the wrong people at the
Mhm.
wrong time in the wrong way, no matter what our intentions are, it's going to pull us out of alignment with us in
Mhm.
our interior organization. And actually, you know, as we were talking about yesterday, I mean, this is how what I'm going to loosely call the God of this world, this lower energy, that's how it gets us. That's how it gets us.
Mhm.
Yeah. It says, oh, just this once, could you help this person? Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't check for me to help this person. Either it's something they need to figure out themselves, they need to go directly to God, or there's somebody else who's supposed to help them. And what I have found is that if I do things that are disobedient, yeah, disobedient to my divine blueprint, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
It never ends up well. And the one who gets slammed is usually me. So I have learned not to do this. I have learned to check. And here's where my muscle testing is so useful. I check every time. Does it check? Is it obedient? Is it an alignment with my divine blueprint to work with so and so? Is it in alignment with her divine blueprint for me to work with her? You know, when we started talking about did we want to share this program,
Mhm.
Dr. Kevin, the very first thing I asked was, is that in alignment? Does it check? Is it part of the overall plan? And no matter how much I like you or how much I mentally could see that this would be a really fun thing and beneficial to everybody, if it was not in alignment, I don't do it. Because alignment or obedience, whatever words you want to use, is more important to me than pretty much anything.
Mhm.
So, getting back to the point that you're making, which is a very good point, is that sometimes bad things happen to us. The first thing I would look at is, well, is that something that you have aligned with incorrectly? Because, so then I would say, okay, so have you got a belief here that says that whatever it is okay for you? Have you got somebody else's belief? Have you got a toxic experience? Have you got a toxic memory, a toxic truth, something going on in there that is saying you are available for this not good thing to happen?
Mhm.
Yeah. Because it's so much easier to change it on that level than on the physical. You can change your belief, you can change your mind, you can change your emotions. They're changing all the time. If you have the nous
Mhm.
to say to yourself, well, okay, I I am choosing not to think or feel or believe whatever it is that aligns with this negative experience. What am I choosing instead? What am I preferring? What is obedient for me instead of this thing? You see? So it's
Mhm.
taking
Yeah.
responsibility at least for your inner world.
Yeah.
You can't always change things automatically in your outer world, but you can always, always, always choose a different response.
Well, and the other way you can look at that is it's what we have control over and what we don't have control over.
Exactly.
And the things that we don't have control over, why worry about it?
Yeah, because you
Why
don't.
why fret?
That's where you hand it over and you say, "Okay, I know somebody bigger than me who can deal
Yeah.
with whatever it is."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect me. Well, it does affect me, but I have no control over it.
Yeah.
And then there's the other things that we cause or we bring upon ourselves. And some of that is because of some of the steps that were taken before that were out of alignment.
Exactly. It's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
And so by not taking all of the steps in the sequence, that can cause us to be out of alignment.
And then a lot of my work, as you know, is about then going back to the things that caused us to be derailed.
Mm-hmm.
So to use that specific analogy, sometimes I will actually say to clients and to myself, come to that, wait a minute, what train am I on? What train am I on right now? Wait, hang on a second. When did I get off the train of ease and grace and prosperity and obedience and intelligence, for that matter, and end up on this other train, which is never going to take me? It's never going to arrive in the station where I actually want to live and breathe and have my being. It's just not. It's not going there. It's going to Scunthorpe. It's not going to Bath.
Yeah.
Right, for people who are not totally familiar with British geography, Scunthorpe is due north of London, and it's kind of like Pittsburgh without the charm. And Bath is this, absolutely beautiful, been restored, lovely Georgian stone, wonderful place to be, and it's off close to the West Country, so it's like totally different directions. How did you even get on that train?
Well, if you're American, it's easy.
Well, yeah. You don't have trains, so it's pretty simple. I mean, no,
yeah,
we have trains, but not like we have in Britain, and not like we have in Europe.
Oh yeah,
looking forward to being in France, right?
Yeah.
So we're asking that question: how did you get out of alignment? How did you get out of alignment with your divine blueprint, which does have goodies for you? Because I guarantee you, nobody's divine blueprint is requiring them to be in poverty, loss, lack, suffering, stress all the time. It's an interesting question about physical illness, because some people did actually come in with physical illness, and we're hoping in an optimistic way that there is some silver lining to that, even if we can't see it. But in general, I'm talking about the 99% of people who are sick because they took some wrong steps.
Right.
Right. They never took any exercise. They're eating badly for their blueprint, their whatever it may be. So, I don't know if Stephen Hawking brought in his ALS at the age of 26 for some divine reason that I just don't understand. I do know he survived a lot longer than most people who get that kind of illness.
He was the longest surviving person with ALS.
Well,
in reading some of his books, he was saying that the ALS caused him to think inwardly.
It concentrated his mind.
And concentrated and focused his mind on some of the greatest questions there are.
Absolutely.
In the universe.
And he was I'm now not remembering the name of the fellowship, the most prestigious mathematics fellowship in the world. I may say, not that it particularly reflects any credit on me specifically, but as you know, I lived in Cambridge for 6 years, and I was going out with my best friend, who is a physics professor at the same department as Stephen Hawking. So I actually met Stephen.
Wow.
And I have a fund of stories about Stephen. If you've seen that wonderful film, A Theory of Everything, which is about Stephen Hawking, I'm watching this film going, wait a minute, I know that office. I know that ramp. Yep, been there. Yep. Because it all took place in Cambridge. And that's where he had the mathematics professorship there, to the point, and it's set up in this way at Cambridge and all British universities that you get to, I think at 65 you have to retire. You have no choice.
Oh.
He actually made it past retirement. I was really impressed. I mean, he was something like 70 when he died. It's like, wow. Yeah.
He lived a long life.
Yes.
For someone with ALS.
Yeah.
And so many of the patients that I have worked with ALS, they do not survive very long.
Yeah.
So
okay.
But for some reason, he was in alignment with what his master plan was.
That's what I'm saying.
And so he was able to overcome because he was taking the correct steps all along the way.
Yes.
And he had a good, strong support system.
Yep. He really did. Man, what his wife put up with for decades is just startling to me.
Oh. I don't know too many
We
people.
have much more sympathy for her than for him, I have to tell you.
Actually, I have more sympathy for her because I know how hard it is to be a caregiver, and someone that was as disabled as Stephen Hawking's.
Yeah.
She had to have a team.
Oh gosh,
she had to have a team of people within the house.
Well, it took a while for her to actually get that. She kept asking for that, and he kept saying no. And it was in a situation where she didn't really have a lot of autonomy. Bring up 3 kids and looking after somebody who's as disabled as Stephen was. It's a miracle, really, that she did so well for so long. But again, so there's alignment. Okay. And the alignment has to be in both the conscious and the subconscious. And that's where my work comes in. That's where your work comes in.
Mm-hmm.
But then there are other steps, because I definitely talk to people who are pretty well educated in how the spiritual world works. And they'll say, well, I have asked for this. I have asked for that. Okay. But here's the thing. What are you actually saying about whatever it is? Let's take money because it's nice and easy and we can see it, and we all have issues.
Mm-hmm.
We all have issues around money. We really do. God bless us. Okay. So if I'm saying, I am absolutely clear that I am designed to be a chatelaine and therefore I have to buy a chateau. That's the divine plan for me. Okay. If I keep saying no, how is this going to happen? I don't see it happening fast enough. When is this? When? What? What are the details? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have forgotten that I only need to know the first step or the next step. Right? Mm-hmm. I am allowing that fear and doubt, which is the operating. Excuse me a second. Which is the operating system of this world, the lower world. Yeah. We operate on faith and patience. And as somebody was saying yesterday, faith is we operate by faith, not by sight. So what's going on, what we physically can see, what's happening in the sensory world is not really as important to your inner computers as what's happening inside. And that requires faith and patience and obedience and grace.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Alignment, in short. What takes us out of alignment? Oh, the sneaky energies of fear and doubt.
Yep.
If I may take an example from your life, Dr. Kevin, I may do that for a moment. Okay. Remember how upset you were a week, 10 days ago because you had trusted someone who was pretending to be a colleague of yours.
Yes.
In fact, they managed to scam you out of a certain amount of money. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was a bad thing to happen, and it was a wrong thing for them to do. No question. Okay? But just for the example, what I notice in you, and I do this too, so I'm not pointing the finger. Well, okay, maybe a little bit.
Go for it. I'm pointing the finger at me too.
Yeah. What was interesting was where you went with that. You for a little while, a couple of hours, maybe a day, you let that fear and doubt overtake you.
Mhm.
Now, I know it's asking a lot of human beings, but one of the things that I ask of my clients and students, and in turn, my colleagues have asked it of me, God bless them, is that really where you want to take this? Is fear and doubt really where?
Mm-mm.
No. Fear and doubt is like that squid that lets the ink out into the water.
Right.
No, we want some clear water here. So what does faith and patience tell us about this? Well, firstly, we can always ask God or Spirit to make restitution when something has been stolen from us. We can check our own boundaries to see where we were allowing that negative energy or experience in. We can stay in the now so that we're not immediately going to, oh my God, this has happened this many times in the past. And oh my God, it's going to happen so many times in the future. We can stay in the now, right?
Mhm.
And we can look for the solution rather than focusing on the problem. Because whatever we focus on, we are going to get more of that because it's all about alignment.
Mhm.
As you know, I had a client who had 18 car accidents in a row.
Wow.
So the first thing I looked at is, what's the alignment here? What are the beliefs or the toxic memories that are allowing this to happen, that are creating it, that are attracting it, that are attracted to it? And are they hers or somebody else's?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we were talking about your situation, you'll notice the first thing I did was to say, okay, well, let's get your energy up to start with.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's shift your emotional energy around this. Let's get you back up into spirit.
Mhm.
And then from there, from that perspective, from the glory of God, then maybe we can find a solution. And even if we don't, you know what? Your clients are not your provider. Your
Yeah.
clients are not your provider.
Yeah.
Your spouse is not your provider. God is your provider.
Yeah.
And God never takes a look at that tree over there and says, you get 8,230 leaves and that's it, buddy.
It's always the law of abundance. It's always abundant. The universe wants us to have abundance.
Yes. So are we aligning, accepting, allowing, and receiving? Okay, we got two really great questions that I think the person asking them thinks that they're the same question. They're not. Okay, they're two really, really, really good questions,
Very
though.
different questions.
Okay, how do you know if you're in alignment? I had such an example of this yesterday. Oh, thank you, God, for sending me that experience yesterday, which was so painful at the time, but now I have the perfect example. Yay! Who knew? Okay. Yesterday morning, I woke up and I wrote this in my Facebook page. So go and find me, Kira Adept, on Facebook. I have a couple of groups. Just go find
Mhm.
it and you'll see it. Really recently, I put this up. Well, yesterday, obviously. I woke up yesterday morning. Now, I have to tell you, every morning I do about 3 dozen Geotran codes. It's like my way of
Mhm.
opening up the computers and making sure everything's connected properly and all the wiring works and I haven't
Mhm.
been slammed with anything
Right.
overnight. And I started to do my Geotran and I forgot it. It was
Wow.
not there. It was not available to me. I
How
cannot
frightening.
I cannot easily express to you how horrifying this felt.
Yeah.
This is
It's
something
very frightening.
26 years. And it was like, okay. So I thought, something's going on here that is not me. Because I know how to do this when I'm me. Yeah. And I'm me 100% of the time, most of the time. And if
Right.
I'm not, I know who I am enough that I go, oh, wait a minute, I'm not being me at the moment. Okay, let me fix that. So I found 3 people in me, on me, in my computers, doing computer virus stuff. And I threw them out. And then I noticed that I had a muscle memory. Yeah. I'm thinking, wait a minute, I know that number. That's 444. That's to reset the heart ring. Okay, let me just do that. 444. And then the muscle memory took me to the next point, which is receptivity ring. 45. Okay, 444, 55, 467, breathing ring. 4775, 477575, 48762, 487. And then I got it back. I got it back once I was me. Once I was me, and I remembered that this was in my toolkit. Alignment. Alignment. How did I know I was out of alignment? Because something that is just absolutely part of me was not available to me. I really wondered I wonder if this is how Alzheimer's patients feel. They know it's in there somewhere, but they don't know how to get to it. Okay, so that's one thing. One of the things that when I'm working with my clients, that I absolutely focus on is getting you back to being 100% you and teaching you how to stay there so that you will notice when you're being not you. Do you see how this works?
Yes.
Wait a minute, I just did something or said something that's like not me. That's not how I look at things. Right. Okay. Second part of the question, what about loss or divorce? I'm not 100% understanding what you are asking. Are you asking why do bad things happen to good people? Because that's one set of questions, which I'm happy to address. Or are you saying, is the divorce or the loss because you are out of alignment? Honey, sometimes the divorce or the loss, well, okay, we'll leave a loss aside for a minute, okay?
Yeah. The divorce
The
is
divorce
alignment.
because you are in alignment. I can't tell you the number of times I've worked with people about divorce, and the very first thing I say to them is, who did you actually marry? I mean, did you show up as you 100%? And did you marry that other person as who he or she is 100%? Because I got to tell you, 95% of the time, not the case. Did you even ask, is it obedient for me to marry this person? Or were you caught up, as we all are, from time to time, in our social and cultural romance myth that says, oh, true love, and you'll just know. Sometimes you do just know, and I love it when you do. But sometimes you're just really caught up in a, what do they call them these days? A soap opera. Sometimes you're just caught up in a soap opera.
Yeah.
Gotta tell you. Yeah. And somehow you have the feeling that that person's keys from their vulnerabilities fit your locks from your vulnerabilities, or of course the other way around. So this is how narcissists and empaths get together. Not because they're good for each other, but because the keys fit the locks.
Right.
And to a lesser extent, a lot of our, especially romantic relationships, are like that. I hate to tell you, I wish it were not so. You know, people who have a tendency to feel rejected, will tend to take up with other people who have rejection issues, which may be similar, but may be complementary.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, what I was working on this weekend with one of my colleagues, God bless him, was, have you engaged in interaction with someone where they have to make themselves feel more by making you feel less? That only works if you don't know who you are. if you're not in alignment with you. Is this making sense, what I'm saying?
It makes perfect sense.
Okay,
Makes
just
perfect
check.
sense. No, it makes perfect sense. I'm listening and taking in what you're saying and thinking, that does make a lot of sense.
So that's where the, yes, alignment, but the accepting and allowing comes in. So let's go back to money for a moment. All right. When I do my raising your money thermostat masterclass, which for those of you who have not taken it, can be found in both of my Facebook groups, Light Me Up Coaching and Geotran Global. They're in the guides. Go have a listen. You're going to find it so illuminating. Okay. So, yeah, we can lift that cap. But what if you've got a set of beliefs in there that say, well, money doesn't go on trees. No, you have to work hard. Money is all bringing money in is all about working hard. Just like those trees outside that work really hard to get those 8,320 leaves. They're just working all the time. Yeah. Now, receiving is about grace. And grace is the generosity of God or spirit of the universe or whatever words you want to use. Okay. Are you able to accept, or have you been so trammeled by what you've learned about money and financial resources and abundance that somebody could drop a laundry basket full of used $100 bills or euro notes, as the case may be, on your doorstep, and your first reaction was, I can't accept this?
Right.
Yeah. Not you or me, but, others. So what are you allowing? What are you accepting? What is your subconscious letting you receive? That's why my absolutely favorite abundance aphorism from the wonderful and lovely Edwene Gaines, who I mentioned in our conversation yesterday. Everybody rush out and get on audio or a book, I don't care. Edwene Gaines, EDWENE GAINES, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. There we go. Go read it. Go do it. Okay. So, what was I saying about allowing, right? Yeah. Her 4 spiritual laws of prosperity are going to get you into alignment. And from there, you have to allow, accept, and receive. Oh, so my favorite saying of hers is large, rich, lavish, opulent, financial surprises come to me now, and I am grateful. They're coming to me. Am I receiving them? What opens the door to receiving is the gratitude in advance. I have no idea how the universe is going to pay for this chateau, but I know it's happening. I know it's happening now, and I am truly thankful. Thankful.
Yay.
So one of the things that I check with people who are struggling financially, I mean, I want them not to struggle financially because, firstly, I want them not to struggle financially. I want them to step into their abundant nature. And secondly, that way they can afford to pay me. So, we're both happy. Now, one of the things I ask is, well, what percent are you able to receive? What percent are you grateful for what you are receiving in faith, which is the evidence of things unseen?
Yes.
So what percent do you have faith that whatever it is you're asking for is already on its way to you? I guarantee you, most of us do not order something from, say, Land's End, and then call them up every day and say, well, firstly, even before we call them up every day and say, where's my thing? When we order something from Land's End, we're specific about it. We do not call Land's End and say, send me a shirt.
We're very specific about what we
very specific.
request.
We say, okay, I want that style of shirt. It's got to be in a medium, in my case, and I want the teal one, not the purple. And I would actually really like that to be sent overnight. Yeah. And then we do not call them up every day and say, "Where's my shirt?" But we do that with God. We say, "Hello, did my prayer arrive? The one where I asked for the whatever it is? We just canceled. We just canceled it accidentally because we forgot that, like UPS, God delivers."
Yes.
Yep. Hey, did you hear actually that they're thinking of amalgamating FedEx and UPS? There'll be one
No.
company called Fed Up.
You got me. You got me. That is really cool.
But I digress.
Just a little bit.
So
So we had that question about loss, and we
yeah,
kind of
let's talk about loss
let's
for
go
a
back
minute.
to that. Let's go back to that. You know, part of nature is loss. Part of all living creatures is that there's a beginning and there's an end. And there is an expiration date on all of us. We just don't know what it is.
When the analogy that my teacher uses that I find beneficial, and I think you will too, as the educated person that you are,
Mm-hmm.
is you weren't going to stay in high school forever, were you?
No.
And then you went to university or college, as you call it here. Sorry. Cambridge. In Cambridge, a college is a specific institution within the greater university. Okay.
Yes.
So you weren't planning to stay there forever, however entertaining it may have been, especially sort of on the drinking side. And for that matter, you and I both have doctorates, but we wanted to get through that doctoral program as quickly, efficiently, easily, and as gracefully as we possibly could. It's not somewhere we wanted to linger.
Right.
We want to learn it and move on. Well, obviously, I can't speak for every loss. And some seem very unfair for those of us still here. My mother died when I was 21. I get it. But you still got to release them. And when you think about them, this is why it says grieve not in Scripture. It says, yes, mourning is absolutely appropriate. Mourning says, wow, I'm glad I had that person in my life. I remember when we did this. I remember when we did that. I remember these happy years. Rather than, oh my God, my life is over because this person has died. Because what are you aligning with? Are you aligning with life?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you aligning with death? So I am not saying if you're suffering a loss, I am absolutely not saying that you're not going to feel it. I am not saying that, oh, well, it happens to everybody, so you need to cheer up right now because I'm going to feel more comfortable if you do. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you feel whatever you feel, but feel through it and get out the other side. Don't hug it to you.
Well, and everybody goes through it at their own speed, at their own rate. Everyone goes through it. There is no rules.
It's very true. It's very true.
There is none.
But I have to tell you, I have noticed that some people indulge in it.
Yeah. And that's why we're here to help.
Yeah. And here's an example. Right? Here's an example that no one here listening is going to take personally. Okay. And that is, look at Queen Victoria. Okay. She married at 21. She was widowed at 42.
Mhm.
She had 9 children and a country to look after. Well, an empire, really.
Right.
And she was, as far as I can make out, from reading her diaries and what her children have said, she was the most self-indulgent woman on the planet. She used to set out Prince Albert's clothes every morning for the 40 years of her widowhood.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here thinking, why? Yeah, because she identified so much with that role of being the widow that she forgot that she was supposed to live, that she was living, she had purpose. She had a bigger purpose than some of us do.
Right.
So don't be like Queen Victoria.
Well, and that's very true. That's very true. And if you're stuck with a loss and you're not getting beyond it, get help.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, is
and
help people get unstuck.
Get unstuck. And there's people that go through the loss quickly, and there's some that don't.
And that's either is okay.
And either's okay. And my father never did get over my mother's death.
Mm-hmm.
And he never did.
Okay.
So, but he lived on. He continued on. In his 70s, he started a credit union.
Wow. See, that's being in alignment with your divine blueprint. I mean, he obviously,
and that was in alignment.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
He was on the board of directors for 2 or 3 senior citizen centers.
Fantastic.
So even though he never did get over the loss of his spouse, he did go on with life.
That's what, yeah. So it's always about asking, okay, God, what do you have for me now?
Yeah.
And really listening and be willing to be. Here's something I find myself saying a lot and feeling it a lot too for myself.
Mm-hmm.
People say to me, how do I know the part that's speaking to me? How do I know whether it's the higher energies, the lower energies, what have you? Well, firstly, it's always going to call you into faith and patience, right? And especially when it comes to obedience. And remember, I'm only saying obedience with respect to, is this in alignment with my divine blueprint? That's it. Not talking about the military, the government, the police, or your parents, actually. You can honor and respect your parents. You do not always have to obey them. That's as a grown-up. Okay. But it will be this combination of rightness and surprise. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, let me think of something. When I stopped being an architect, I was just feeling increasingly stuck, increasingly uncomfortable, increasingly out of alignment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I was working as an architect. I tried a couple of other things, and then I found Chia-Tran, and it actually took me a year of working in Dorothy's office and going to every class that she was teaching. And it's like from one day to the next, it's like, oh, this is it. This is what I was looking for. This uses all of my interests and capacities and abilities and existing skills, and I'm really good at it, which never hurts. And this is it. And it was that moment of surprise but rightness. It's like, which is exactly why my coaching side of what I do is called Light Me Up Coaching. I'm looking for that expression on your face. Mm-hmm. Go, oh, I get to do that. Cool. Yeah. And chances are it's not going to be what you think, which was your path. It's that larger, more glorified energy in you that's saying, over here, over here, over here, not that one, over here, this one, this one, this one. It's like, oh, huh, cool. Yeah, that's one of the ways you know you're in alignment. Yeah.
Cool.
Of course, the God of your being, however you want to describe that, because I'm not talking about religion here. Of course, the God of your being has a bigger imagination than you do.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying, what's my dream? Although that's a perfectly good question, starting question, how much bigger is what are the dreams that God has for me? What are the dreams that the God of my being is nudging me towards, or sometimes smacking you upside the head with a 2x4 because you haven't been listening?
Right.
Yeah. And you go, oh, that. Okay. I can do that. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
We are very trained to think things through. That's why it says that in the beginning of the little intro movie thing that we have before this program. We are so trained to think things through. I have nothing against mental processing. I grew up with mental processing. All of my friends are physicists, mathematicians, with the lone exception of a retired philosophy professor who drives me absolutely bonkers. Seriously. Because he's thinking all the time. And they're only thinking. They don't get it. That alignment is higher. I am not saying don't think. I'm saying alignment, spiritual alignment, transcends and includes what you think, what you feel, what you believe, your acts of will. It's higher. And that spirit is already redeemed. Okay, now I'm getting to theology.
Yes.
That spirit's already redeemed. There's nothing wrong with that spirit. There may be all kinds of distractions and misalignments and God knows what nonsense going on at the soul level in your psychology, but that spirit's redeemed. So if you can get in alignment with that, never mind something outside, get in alignment with you.
Yes. And you will know it. You will know when you're in alignment.
Yeah.
It's a feeling.
Yeah. Like every cell
It
lights up.
you just know that you're on the right path because you can feel it deep down inside.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a whole 2 minutes left. Wasn't that fun? We have a whole 2 minutes left. Dr. Kevin, I'm handing it over to you for the last word. Go for it.
Oh, the last words. Don't give up. Stay diligent. Stay positive. Enjoy a good laugh.
You know, the operating system of the kingdom is fun and laughter. So if anybody tells you differently, go find a different church.
Yes. Laughter heals the soul.
It really does.
It really does. It also is a really good job of oxygenating the brain, which the brain uses large quantities of oxygen to.
And speaking of which, you want more spiritual oxygen? Okay, everybody pay attention. Right hand, clockwise, right here over the heart, 4 inches off the body. 4, 6, 7, 2. I'm going to do it again. 4, 6, 7, 2 for extra oxygen.
Sounds good. Yay!
Yay!
And look at that. We're out of time.
When
did that happen?
So, not many techniques this time, but a great conversation. I hope you found it illuminating. We'll see you next week. Remember, you can get hold of me on Facebook, Kira Dept. You can get hold of Kevin on Facebook, Kevin Richardson, and also on his website, kevinrichardsontherapy.com. My website is geotran.global, and we would love to work with you in person if that checks for you, if you are in alignment.
Yes. We look forward to seeing you.